The mayor of Minneapolis participated in a public humiliation ritual to prove his obedience and subservience to the Somali community. He wore a "I Love Somalia" t-shirt, waved a Somalia flag, and spoke Somali because that's what's required to be an elected official in Minnesota. You guys are not gonna believe your eyes. But it gets worse. It's also been exposed that Somalia's foreign minister and their ambassador to the United Nations both own fraudulent daycare centers in America. I'm not kidding. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. But let's start with the mayor of Minneapolis tap dancing like a monkey for his Somali masters.
And then it goes back, and then it goes back. Born to a throne, strong and wrong. I got thrown out of the darkness. I came to party. The Lord is the Bible.
Somalia Hanulato! Somalia Hanulato! Somalia Hanulato! Somalia Igea! Somalia Igea! Somalia Igea! Somalia Igea! Amaga Egowa, Jacob Frey, Yarub! Doka Magalada, Minneapolis! Mufiate!
That doesn't look like assimilation to me. That looks like treason. We are now at the point in the left's diversity project where if you want to remain politically viable in Minnesota, you must be willing to publicly kiss the feet of the Somali community and vow to enable and ignore all of their fraudulent behavior. It is not unreasonable nor racist to say you should 100% be excluded from the political process if you can't at bare minimum speak the language. American immigration philosophy used to be if you wanted to come here and adopt our culture, assimilate into our way of life, we would welcome you. That's what the melting pot used to mean. But the modern liberal interpretation is America doesn't have a culture at all. And what our culture is really about is accepting other cultures from around the world and celebrating the establishment of unassimilated enclaves all across America. And now we're seeing the end result of that destructive ideology. Tribal politics where foreign nationals who have no allegiance to our country can determine the outcome of elections, tearing America apart and fighting to get what they can for the sole benefit of their own people. But if that wasn't insulting enough, here's the same mayor explaining why he loves the Somali community so much, because they're just better than us Americans.
Assalamu alaikum. Galab wanaksan. Magaigawa Jacob Frey. Doka Magalada, Minneapolis. Ramadan Mubarak to our entire Somali community, wishing you a sense of peace and justice, not just here in Minneapolis, but throughout the world and in Somalia as well. May you have peace in your lives, and I will be with you every step of the way. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you directly prior to this November's election and with a whole last year of great difficulty and challenge. And I wanted to talk to you about the beginning stages of my relationship with the Somali community because it came even before I was in office. It arrived before I was even a politician. When I came to Minneapolis, I knew almost no one. Very little family or friends. The first community that embraced me. The first group of people that I was able to befriend and associate with was largely our Somali community. You all showed me warmth. You were there for me. You were my friends. That was before I even became a city council member. And then I was elected to the city council in Ward 3, and I developed a fast friendship and relationship with then council member Abdi Warsami. He brought me further into the community. explained to me the culture and the heritage, the traditions, the food and the dance. And I gained an even new form of love for the tremendous culture, the work ethic, the entrepreneurship, and everything that the Somali community offers.
Ah, yes, the Somalis, who are famous for their ingenuity and entrepreneurship, and their rich, vibrant culture of piracy, corruption, violence, and inbreeding. I'm sick of the gaslighting by liberal politicians who demand that we celebrate cultures who are still stuck in the discovering fire stage of civilization. We're called racist and intolerant if we don't embrace a culture that created the most destabilized country on planet Earth. But it's not just Minneapolis. Here is the mayor of Boston saying there is no history of Boston without including the Somalis.
You cannot talk about any achievement that the city of Boston has had in safety, jobs, and economic development, in education, without talking about the Somali community that has lifted our city up. We are proud and we are grateful for our Somali community and for our Somali American neighbors. Boston and the country are clear that hate has no place in our society. We will use every attack to actually strengthen and expand the services available, to empower and work alongside our community members who are already doing so much good in the world and setting an example for the rest of the country.
So one of America's oldest, most important, and most historic cities would be nothing without the contributions of Somalians. We are being browbeaten into rejecting and abandoning our own culture and history because civility and decency and a high trust society is just too much for the Somalis to integrate into. We are being forced to accept fraud and thievery in the name of diversity and inclusivity. I wonder what the founding fathers would think of all this. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think George Washington would do about this. Here's a news reporter in Minnesota exposing that in one run-down, dilapidated warehouse, there were 60 Somali daycares registered there.
This building right behind me has 22 different home and community-based healthcare companies registered in the building. It's only 4 floors. I walked in there yesterday trying to find a number of them. Many of them are they appear to be just window fronts, door fronts, with nobody behind. So same story, different location. We're here in St. Paul at this building, which looks like a warehouse or a dilapidated old building. Inside this building, there are 60 registered home and community health care organizations inside this one building. We're here in Northeast Minneapolis, and we're at a building that I believe is on the radar of authorities. They have questions about it. A lot of the businesses in here are home health care businesses. Of the total businesses, there's 37. 17 of them are home health care businesses. There's just layer upon layer upon layer of fraud throughout this city, Jessica.
This rampant fraud was allowed to persist because, number one, it would obviously be racist to stop it, but more importantly, number two, Somali daycare centers contributed over $35 million in donations to Democrat candidates. It was common knowledge in the Somali community that home health care centers and daycares and autism clinics were all ripe for the picking. That's how you get this insane news that Somalia's foreign minister and the ambassador to the United Nations both own fraudulent home health care services. Libs of TikTok broke this news. Somalia's ambassador to the UN was a healthcare administrator in Ohio. There is another healthcare company in the same suite as his with a different name, and multiple others at the same address, all with Somali names. And here's their foreign minister, who also owns a home healthcare company. But the foreign minister's business partner in his healthcare company is a man who worked for a Somali money transfer company who is accused of financing Islamic terrorism. But Donald Trump cut federal funding for childcare services to Minnesota after the discovery of this massive fraud, and they held a press conference in Minnesota publicly opposing this decision, where they accidentally admitted out loud that the whole thing is fraud.
If childcare is cut, I'm unable to work or go to school. I understand fraud is bad. I don't think I speak.
do see some signs over here that say stop fraud, and I agree, stop it. There are wait lists for these programs that are years long. There is fraud,
The bigger question nobody seems to care about is, even if there wasn't any fraud, why are the Somalis receiving taxpayer money to benefit only Somalis? 89% of Somali families with children are on welfare, and then they're receiving more government money to set up free daycares for only their community. It's not like they're taking in white kids or black kids or Hispanic kids. Americans can't even have kids because the cost of daycare is so high. Yet Somalis who don't work and already receive welfare are given infinite money by the government to have as many kids as they want. They are inserting their primitive tribalism into our politics. But the last thing I'm going to show you is Omar, I'm the captain of this boat now, Fateh, celebrating a judge's ruling to resume funding for the fraudulent Feeding Our Future scam after it was initially cut off due to fraud allegations.
My name is Omar Fatah. I'm the state senator for District 62, which is in South Minneapolis. I want to thank first all of you for sticking together, for working together, for fighting. I want to thank our organizers, Mahad, Ikram, other folks that helped lead this fight. And I want to thank also Amy and her team, Feeding Our Future, for making this first court victory a reality. So first, I want to say thank you to all of you.
The entire Somali community is aware of the fraud that's taking place, and none of them are able to speak out against it due to their extremely tribal culture. It's only possible for them to survive in Minneapolis as an unassimilated Somali if they are embraced and welcomed and supported by the community. And if any of them even thought about exposing the rampant fraud, they would quickly be exiled from the group. That's how you get Omar Fateh, who was almost the mayor of Minneapolis, celebrating a judge's decision to allow their fraud scheme to resume. Because they're all on the same page. Rob America for the benefit of Somalia. Tim Walz needs to be jailed for his complicity, and Ilhan Omar and the rest of them need to be denaturalized and deported back to Somalia. If they are so ingenious, so entrepreneurial, the true economic engine of America, then we would actually be doing Somalia a kindness by sending their most brilliant minds back home. And they can use all their grit and billions of stolen taxpayer money to build up their country. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.